The scent of expensive perfume, not her usual Chanel No. 5, was the first crack in the porcelain facade of our perfect life. It was our 10th anniversary, and Sarah had just walked in, cheeks flushed, eyes sparkling with an energy I hadn't seen in years. She claimed she'd been stuck in a last-minute strategy meeting with a new client. I, the ever-trusting husband, had a 3-course meal waiting, the candles on the dining table slowly weeping wax tears for a celebration that was already hours late. "Happy anniversary, my love," she said, her voice a little too bright as she handed me a small, impeccably wrapped box. Inside was a ridiculously expensive watch, the kind I'd admired in a magazine months ago. "For the man who gives me everything," she whispered, kissing my cheek. The scent lingered, a musky unisex fragrance that smelled like secrets. I smiled, a hollow gesture that didn't reach my eyes. "Thank you, honey. It's beautiful." But my mind was already replaying the last few months, collecting scattered puzzle pieces that I'd been too blind or too willing to ignore. The late nights had become the norm. "We're pushing for a huge merger," she'd say, exhaustion lacing her voice. The business trips, once a quarterly affair, were now happening twice a month. "They're expanding the European market, Alex. It's a huge opportunity for me." I was proud of her, my brilliant, ambitious Sarah, a VP of marketing at a top-tier firm. I was the stable one, a senior software architect who worked from home, managing my team remotely and holding down the fort. We were a team, or so I thought. The first real tremor that shook my foundation came a week after our anniversary. I was doing our taxes, a task I always handled, when I noticed a recurring charge on our joint credit card. The Gilded Lily Boutique Hotel. It was a chic, ridiculously priced hotel downtown. There were 3 charges, each for a 2-night stay, spread over the last 2 months. When I asked her about it, she barely looked up from her laptop. "Oh, that's for the clients from Germany. The company card was maxed out, so I put it on ours. I'll get reimbursed, don't worry." It was a plausible lie, delivered with the casual confidence of a seasoned professional. I let it go. But my subconscious didn't. As an architect of code, I was trained to see patterns, to find bugs in the system, and my life's code was starting to look very, very buggy. My friend Mark, a cynical divorce lawyer who had seen the worst of humanity, had been planting seeds of doubt for months. "No one is that perfect, Alex, and no one works that hard without burning out or breaking." I'd always defended her, calling him jaded. Now his words echoed in my ears. The real investigation began by accident. I was looking for a misplaced charging cable in her gym bag when my fingers brushed against a smooth, cold object I didn't recognize. It was a second phone, a sleek, new burner phone, tucked away in a side pocket. My heart hammered against my ribs. This wasn't a crack. This was a chasm opening at my feet. For a full hour, I just stared at it, 1,000 terrifying possibilities flooding my mind. My hands trembled as I powered it on. It was unlocked. No password. Arrogance or a mistake? I didn't care. What I found was a complete parallel life, a life I had no part in. Texts, hundreds of them, to a contact saved as J. The messages were intimate, filled with shared jokes, passionate declarations, and logistical plans for their meetups. They talked about our future, about a plan that was almost complete. They made fun of me. They called me the Warden, the Golden Goose. I scrolled through photos. Sarah and a handsome, silver-haired man I didn't recognize, laughing on a sailboat. Sarah and Jay clinking champagne glasses in a hotel room that looked suspiciously like the photos on the Gilded Lily's website. Sarah in a bikini I'd never seen, kissing him on a beach in what looked like the Caribbean, dated during a time she was supposed to be at a tech conference in snowy Toronto. The betrayal was a physical blow, knocking the air from my lungs. Every "I love you" she had ever said to me turned to ash in my memory. But it was the financial aspect that truly horrified me. In a separate thread of emails, I saw the full scope of the deception. Jay was Julian Vance, a partner at a venture capital firm. They weren't just lovers, they were business partners. They had been systematically siphoning money from a joint savings account I had poured my life's work into. It was our dream home fund, the nest egg for our future. They had incorporated a shell LLC and were funneling the money into it under the guise of angel investments for a startup Sarah had pitched to me as a side hustle. She had forged my signature on documents. The scale of the deception was breathtaking. This wasn't just a simple affair. This was a long con, and I was the mark. For the next 2 weeks, I lived a double life of my own. I played the part of the loving husband, all while my mind was a whirlwind of rage, pain, and meticulous planning. I downloaded every text, every photo, every email. I hired a private investigator using Mark's trusted contact to get irrefutable proof. Photos, bank statements, corporate filings. The PI's report was a cold, hard confirmation of everything I'd found and more. The affair had been going on for 3 years. The financial fraud for 2. Julian was married too. They were planning to drain our account, file for divorce simultaneously, and start a new life together in Monaco with my money. The perfect stage for the final act was an event of her own creation, a lavish party to celebrate our 10th anniversary and her recent promotion. It was to be held at a fancy art gallery downtown. Our friends, family, and colleagues would all be there. She saw it as her victory lap. I saw it as the gallows. The night of the party, I felt a strange, chilling calm.
I looked at her, resplendent in a silver gown, greeting guests with that dazzling smile that had once captivated me. She was a brilliant actress, and tonight was her grand finale. Julian was there, of course, introduced to me as her mentor and business partner. He shook my hand, a look of faux sympathy in his eyes. "Your wife is a force of nature, Alex. You must be so proud." I smiled back, a predatory glint in my eye that he was too arrogant to notice. "I am," I said. "She's full of surprises." After the toasts and speeches, Sarah pulled me onto the dance floor. "Isn't this perfect?" she whispered, resting her head on my shoulder. The scent of her secret perfume filled my senses. "Everything I do for us." It was the final lie, the one that solidified my resolve. I stepped away from her and walked to the podium where the DJ was set up. I took the microphone. A hush fell over the room. Sarah looked at me, a flicker of confusion on her face. "I'd like to make a toast of my own," I began, my voice steady and clear, amplified throughout the silent gallery. "To my wife, Sarah, a woman of immense talent, not just in marketing, but in theater, in deception. For 3 years, she has given the performance of a lifetime." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Sarah's face went pale. Julian froze mid-sip of his champagne. "I thought her late nights were for work," I continued, my voice rising with controlled fury. "But they were for you, Julian. I thought her business trips were for the company, but they were romantic getaways, funded by me. She didn't just cheat on me. She orchestrated a grand theft. Our dream home fund, our future, funneled into your shared shell company." I gestured to the large projection screen behind me, where a slideshow of our happy memories had been playing. With a click of a remote in my hand, the image changed. It was a photo of Sarah and Julian kissing on the beach in the Caribbean, then a screenshot of their texts calling me the Golden Goose, then a bank statement showing the transfer of $250,000 to their LLC, then a copy of the forged document. With each click, another piece of her perfect world crumbled to dust. The room was utterly silent, the only sound being Sarah's ragged breathing. She looked at me, her eyes wide with a mixture of terror and disbelief. The mask was gone. For the first time, I saw the real her, a cornered, desperate fraud. Julian tried to slip away, but Mark, who I had positioned by the exit, calmly blocked his path. "I don't think so," he said, a grim smile on his face. 2 uniformed officers, who I'd arranged to arrive at precisely 10 p.m., entered the gallery. I dropped the microphone. It clattered on the floor, the feedback screeching through the speakers. I didn't look at her again. I walked out of the gallery, leaving the wreckage of our life behind me. The cool night air felt like the first clean breath I had taken in years. The months that followed were a blur of legal proceedings.
The divorce was swift. The fraud case was ironclad. They both faced the consequences of their actions. I sold the house we had built together, a place now tainted with the ghosts of lies. I moved into a sleek, minimalist apartment downtown, a blank canvas for a new life. Some days, the grief was a heavy cloak, but most days there was a profound sense of relief. The truth, however brutal, was liberating. One morning, standing on my new balcony, watching the sunrise paint the sky, I felt a sense of peace. I had lost everything I thought I wanted, only to find the one thing I truly needed: myself. The lies had collapsed, and in the ruins, I was finally free.